It's hard to keep. Hi, everybody.
Okay, we are live.
Oh, we are?
It's like herding cats in here. Hey, everybody. It's good to see you this afternoon.
Let's be honest. The only reason why we're herding cats is because I'm here. So you're really herding Sam. You guys always are very well behaved.
I did not say that. We'll give everybody just a minute to get in the room. Those who will be joining us live and those who will be watching later, we would love for you to tell us where you are, where you're joining us from, what part of the country you're in, how familiar you are with the...
I would also like to know, because I'm in Louisiana and it is 103 with the heat index. So I would like to see how much better I am than everybody else with your heat index temperatures that I can suffer here. Like, how you're in Florida, Jessica.
Yeah.
I don't even Florida. So.
I don't know. It just rains.
Bust out the weather app. Bust out the weather app. You got to bust it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
So your name,
I'm
where
in
you're
Georgia,
from,
and we had a lot of rain this morning, and it cooled off like a lot. So I don't have a lot of complaints today about the weather.
Well, I will say something that is very unique about Louisiana is we don't get wind often in southern Louisiana. And so, like, I was out walking my dogs the other day, and a gust of just the faintest wind comes through, and I'm like, Jesus is real. And it's like, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is 86 degrees in Georgia, so we are cool today.
So now I know why you're wearing
93.
93
here in Florida, but it feels like 106.
Ooh.
So, but I'm also on the coast, so I've got that coastal breeze.
You're giving me a run for my money. Let's see here.
Well, guys, we're here to have a conversation around Fresh Expressions I am here in North Georgia. I'm Heather Jallad. I'm the cultivator of Fresh Expressions here. And Sam and Jessica, y'all introduce yourselves.
You first, Jessica.
Okay, I'm Jessica. I am here in Florida, where it feels like 106 degrees, and I'm excited to talk about Fresh Expressions with all of you.
Well, there seems to be a pattern, because I'm Sam Hubbard. I'm from Louisiana, and I am a cultivator of Fresh Expressions here in Louisiana. And unfortunately, I am in second place because it only feels like 103 here. So you win. You're the queen. You win this round.
Well, guys, we just want to make sure that you are taking every opportunity to be a part of the Fresh Expressions webinar series that have been offered once a month for these last several months. So we're going to talk just a little bit about where we've been. I think we probably all have our favorite webinars, our favorite episodes. So we might talk a minute about that, and then look forward to what's coming up a week from today, next Thursday, in our next webinar with Reverend Andrew Vertigan from the Salvation Army. So we'll say a bit about that in a few minutes. But first of all, the last month in June's offering, there was a conversation with Robert Johnson, Reverend Robert Johnson, who has served in a variety of contexts, both urban and more rural, cross-racial, college campuses, suburban, inner city, all these different contexts. And he really shared about his own experiences with contextual ministry and these different contexts, and sharing the gospel, sharing the Jesus story, which is really a part of our Fresh Expressions journey. And Jessica, you were kind of talking about how we've really designed this whole webinar series to kind of take people through the Fresh Expressions journey. Do you want to say a little bit about that to help people get some handles on this?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure if it was designed or it was God designed, because it's just worked out perfectly in that way. So we had our first webinar series, and that one talked about the listening. We had multiple practitioners share in that one. That one was really great. If you haven't watched these are all linked in our Fresh Expressions webinar group, so you can go back and catch up on the ones you missed. But that one was really great. Shared about the listening journey. We had some great Reverend Mary Jackson shared about prayer walks, and we heard about dinner church and all the things that were happening from different people. The second one talked really a ton. We had Reverend Dr. Moyna with us, and he talked about loving and building community. That one I think might have been my favorite one. I don't know. Reverend Robert Johnson was just a powerhouse last month and just blew us away, because he really went down and he talked about building these communities and sharing faith within that community and what that looks like. And he hit tough topics. He hit things that we all needed to hear, and he hit them in a great way. So that one was a really spectacular one too.
And we've
so
also,
yeah,
I was going to say, we've also provided opportunities for people to see the ones that have already happened. They can see the replays of those as well. So if you missed any of these, you can go back and catch those. If you go to the discipleship page and follow the links to FXUM, you can find the replays of the ones that have already happened, as well as registrations for the ones to come. Probably my favorite was with Dr. Moyna. And I don't know how he would feel about me referring to him as the Godfather, the Godfather of the Fresh Expressions movement. But that's how I envision him. He is the Godfather of the Fresh Expressions movement, being birthed out of the UK. And I just love how when he talks about starting Fresh Expressions, that he talks about organized love, that it is an act of organized love. And there's just so much gold in what he has to share. He lays out the journey so simply and yet just so deeply with what it means to start these new forms of church. So, Sam, what was your favorite so far?
Well, I mean, I hate to be simple, but the first one was the best for me, only because, like, one of the things that I get really excited about with Fresh Expressions in particular, it's almost like I'm going to go offside, John. It's almost like the Enneagram. You know how we say like someone's a certain number, but the problem is you have, just like red, there's infinite shades of red, there's infinite shades of a number. And I always think about that with Fresh Expressions, how there's an infinite shade of what a fresh expression could look like. And as I figured out, there's probably 7.7 some odd billion different shades that we can have, and that's probably being conservative. And so I just loved how we had folks that were like, pioneers and practitioners, and all the different ways that they ended up in all these different places and came up with something that was just completely unique to those set of people there. And and there's never a time that I don't walk away from things like that where I'm just like, I would have never thought about that in a million years. And then that makes my mind, just start shooting up like, wait a minute, there's this, there's that. And it helps me make connections to then go and maybe come to somebody else and go, I saw this craziest thing in the world I never would have thought about. So what do you think? But that was my favorite, because there was just so many different cool examples of how Fresh Expressions could look all over the country.
Yeah, that is really, I know Jessica and I have certainly experienced this in different contexts and the different conferences that we're in and have been able to partner together with. Is there's just so much that we kind of learn from one another as we're trying to do this, right? Because it's new to all of us. We're all practitioners. We're all trying things. None of us claim to be experts, but we learn so much from each other along the way. And I think there's a lot of inspiration that comes from different things that different people have tried and different ideas. And that community, I think, that forms around starting these new forms of church is so rich and so deep and has so much to offer. And that's really, again, something that we're trying to do with FXUM and these webinars and these offerings, is to gather people that are really thinking differently about church and willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I think each one has had something something special that we've kind of taken away. And it's really cool to see the insights and the things that come through the chat. This last one, we just had a whole bunch of people that were just in the chat and sharing how it was so impactful. And I know I think I saw a chat from our friend Reverend Robert Johnson. Powerhouse again last month was incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, you have to go see it. It was incredible. So catch up. I know that one was like right before 4th of July, so you might have missed it, but you have to catch up. So we've got one coming up next week, and it is at a different time, 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central. It's an hour earlier because we've got our friend from across the pond, and it is pretty late for him over there. So we moved it up just like we did for Reverend Dr. Moyna. So make sure you set that clock. It's going to be a little different than our normal time.
Thanks for the reminder, Jessica. That's important. And as Jessica said, it'll be recorded as well if you happen to miss it. I've tried to invite people and encourage people to participate in the webinars together, so that then afterward you can have a conversation. You can debrief. What did you hear? What did you learn? What are some opportunities that you might have been brought to light? What Path One is trying to do with FXUM and this webinar series is start conversations in different places across the Pan Methodist family, and the Salvation Army is part of that. The Pan Methodist family, the Wesleyan streams of our faith, and I think certainly we a lot to learn from them as far as what they've done in the UK, and I'm anxious to hear what Reverend Vertigan has to share about his experience in pioneer ministry, and what we can learn from that. We call the Brits the people from our future, because the church in the UK and certainly in Europe and Western Europe has experienced decline, probably about 2 decades ahead of what we're experiencing. So maybe less than that at this point. So we have a lot to learn from them, and what they can teach us about this, what Fresh Expressions is all about, and what pioneering ministry is all about.
Yeah, that's one of the things when I talk to folks is that, and this is probably from my business background, but you rarely get an opportunity to see into the future, and because lots of times, I mean, we're used to looking in history, right, and seeing like maybe we won't repeat patterns of history or learn from history, and we should do that, and we can do that. But the cool thing about it is when you look at what is happening over in the UK, we're not reviewing their history, we're reviewing our future. And so we could, like, the way that how do I say, it's like with kids, it's like, hey, you don't have to make all the same mistakes I did, right? You could just like listen to me and not make those same mistakes. And so that's what I feel like it is with the UK. It's like, guys, they had 30 years of mistakes they made that, guess what, we probably don't need to make, and we could bypass a lot of the pain. Even though sometimes mistakes help us learn things, I think there's a lot. I know I have personally learned from some of the missteps they've made, and actually how they've iterated to go places and to innovate that frankly I just didn't see coming. But that's one of the big things. I think that's why I'm kind of cheating. I think this next one is going to be my favorite one, because it's like, how often do you get to like look into the future, So, but I'm also a Terminator fan, so there's also that.
Okay, I was going to say, Sam, I don't know how often it works when you tell your kids don't make the same mistakes I did, but anywho.
I think I read an article that said it was 0%. That's how effective it is.
But we're older and wiser now, so maybe we can learn from our mistakes.
Hey, I'm still gonna try.
So yeah,
I love it. As a younger, baby generation over here, I just love hearing the wisdom of I'm excited. all of these have been wisdom of people who are older than me. I'm assuming that there hasn't been anybody younger than me. I haven't. No, I'm only 25. So I love hearing the wisdom. I mean, I haven't learned that I can't tell my 2-year-old not to do something. I mean, she doesn't listen very much anyway, but good learning, really good wisdom.
I'm just saying, like, we should. I know Heather. I think Heather would agree with me. I wouldn't mind spending what little time we have left just hearing about how, like, our wisdom has impacted you and how wonderful it is. Just to tell us.
Oh, Sam. Oh,
just
Sam.
the whole rest of the time, yeah.
We don't.
Oh, I think you did post in the chat down there how people can register for the webinar. Am I right? I might have missed that.
Yes, I did post it in the chat. It was earlier on.
Okay, super. So you guys can go back in the chat and make sure that you catch the link in there to register for the upcoming webinar this next Thursday. And then you can also find the webinars that have been recorded. Gosh, when did we start these? Was it April or May?
It was May.
It was April, right?
Oh,
April?
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
It was April, May, June, yeah. So we had April, the first one, and then we had Mike, and then we had Reverend Robert Johnson. Yeah. We've got 3 of these recorded. They're great things to start. I know you said that you've had people say to do them in groups. I've heard people having potlucks and coming together, and that's the Methodist way. I mean, bring it together with food.
That's good.
Right at dinner time.
The more conversations that get started, the more people talk about it. I think the more voices we can, and the more people we can get involved in the movement, in whatever capacity, whether they be permission givers, to resource people, to encourage people, to empower people to go in and start these new forms of church, or whether they be the people that do them, that start them, the pioneers, the apostles that go and start these. The more conversations we can have about what this looks like in our particular context, I think the better. And these are just great opportunities to start those conversations. So I just really want to encourage people to invite more people into the conversation and talk about what might be possible. I don't know, we might start a riot if we do this, but I think I particularly, like, to Sam's point, I really liked how we had different practitioners, and was it the first one or the second one, talking about their own experiences with Fresh Expressions. And I think there's just so much gold there. I think we need to have more webinars like that. So I was just going to say, if you want to post in the chat what you want to see more of and learn more about, that might be a cool place for us to get some ideas about what might be helpful to you in the future as well. We've got how many more of these planned now, Jessica?
So they're out until October, and then starting in November, we'll have the theological framework conversations starting. So those will be the first Thursday of every month. So these have been the last Thursday. Those will start up the first Thursday, and those will go all the way up until next September, kind of framing out this movement with a good, solid theology, with a whole bunch of great lineup there. So we've got plans all the way out until next September now.
And those presenters are people like Elaine Heath, Paul Chilcote, Steve Harper, some really powerful voices in the Wesleyan spirit that I look forward to hearing from. Certainly, I'm sure everybody else does as well. If you guys have other questions, please post them in the chat. If you want to hear Sam and Jessica and I talk about something different next month, or something in particular next month, you can post that in the chat too.
I don't know. You did give me a good idea. Like, I wonder what it would look like if I did like watch parties with those things. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out, Louisiana people. I'm stealing an idea.
Yep, that would be a lot of fun. I mean, gotta get food together. I mean, that's the way.
Well,
to do
and obviously, I'm not going to start a riot. Well, because our food is the best, so we'll have the best food parties. But
okay,
that's given.
I'll give it to you guys, Louisiana. I'll give it to you. We don't have anything like that in Florida, so.
Yeah. Just give us something, please.
Yeah, you can have it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All
So
right. Any
I mean,
final?
those.
Go ahead, Jessica.
I was going to say those. The other thing with that, the theological framework is it's people from around the world. So we've got people from every single continent coming in to have those conversations. So that's another really cool part. If you know people from around the world, these Fresh Expressions webinars are for everybody. They're not just for people in the U.S. It is worldwide. So if you know some Methodists out in Europe, if you know some Methodists out in Africa or in South America, all over the world, we're global. So go ahead and share that out with everyone.
A good word. All right.
So
well,
I think we crushed it.
I think we've covered the territory.
So go ahead and register. The link is in the chat. If you haven't registered yet, go ahead and register. Get on it, and you'll get a link next Wednesday and next Thursday to join the Zoom. So we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
There's Gina saying New Orleans food.
New Orleans food. Dang right.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.